I'm honored to be here today, despite the fact that I'm back at school on a day when class is not in session. I appreciate you all spending your Friday morning with us. I value spending my free time working with my fellow NYCers to make sure that youth voice is impactful to Multnomah County. Can my fellow youth commissioners please stand up? Thank you. Thank you for being here and making sure youth voice is at the table when it comes to local politics. Now I'm excited to introduce our Multnomah County Chair, Deborah Kafoury. At a young age, Deborah learned the difference one person can make in our community after her mother opened their home to women escaping domestic violence or families with nowhere to sleep or to share a meal together. Chair Kafoury began her political career when she was elected class president in the 5th grade at Irvington Elementary. She furthered her public service representing North and Northeast Portland in the Oregon House of Representatives and served 2 years as the House Minority Leader. In 2008, voters elected Deborah to the Multnomah County Commission. She was elected county chair in 2014, where she has carried her passion for fostering safe environments for children and families to thrive into her policy priorities. Deborah lives in Southeast Portland with her husband, Nick Blosser, and their 3 children, Alexander, Jacob, and Anna. Please join me in welcoming Chair Deborah Kafoury to the stage.
Good morning. It is so good to be here at Reynolds High School, which has a special place in my heart. But in order to explain why, I need to go back 4 years. On June 9th of 2014, I signed the oath of office as Multnomah County Chair. For nearly 6 years before, I'd been the Multnomah County Commissioner for District 1. That's the western edge of Multnomah County, from downtown Portland to Stovey's Island to my neighborhood near the Selwood Bridge. But as chair, I have the responsibility to serve every corner of this county, from Sylvan Hill all the way to the Bonneville Dam. And on my first day as county chair, I learned exactly what that meant. I was getting ready for work, getting my 3 kids out the door, when the sheriff called me just a few minutes after receiving a 911 call from Reynolds. About 5 minutes after 8, a student had fired shots inside the boys' locker room at this school. Later, I learned that the shooter wounded Todd Rispler, a PE teacher. Through his sheer determination, Mr. Rispler managed to make it to the main office to put the school on lockdown. But the shooter shot and killed Emilio Hoffman. Emilio was 14, a freshman at this school, just 1 year older than my son, Alexander. I got off the phone with the sheriff, my mind was racing and my heart was aching. I didn't even have the official county chair email account set up yet, but I emailed all county staff, letting them know that anyone who had a connection to Reynolds who needed to go should just go. And then in my first formal act, I sent county crisis counselors to the Wood Village parking lot where parents were reuniting with their kids. Within hours, our counselors and our incredible partners opened a crisis drop-in center at the Mount Hood Community College gym. That evening, I went to Emilio's vigil. Walking into a room full of strangers is, on my best day, difficult. But walking in on the worst day of those strangers' lives, that's even harder. I didn't know many of the faces that I know now. It was hard not to feel self-conscious, like an intruder. But I knew that when crisis hits, Multnomah County has to be there for Emilio and his family, for his classmates, his teachers, and his neighbors. Because through that oath of office, this community became my family. And it was clear to everyone at the Baptist church that night, the first responders, the sheriff, the teachers, the neighbors, that our community has a tremendous power when we come together. I vowed then to focus on expanding mental health services in schools and advocating for common sense gun laws. And every day that I see another headline like Parkland, Florida, or Roseburg, Oregon, it brings me back to that day in June, and it makes me mad that we aren't doing more. I try to be hopeful, but that's hard when Congress is MIA and the president will promise a room full of survivors that he's going to take action, and the next day turn around and tell the NRA that they have nothing to worry about. But while the president is tweeting, Oregon is acting. 2 weeks ago, Governor Kate Brown signed a bill that I championed, closing a loophole which will protect survivors of domestic violence from guns. But I know that we're not doing enough. It is fitting that we are here at Reynolds High School because it is the students, not the adults, who are leading the fight for a better future. I want to thank all the students that are here today. You understand, no matter how tough it is, we have to take care of one another. This morning, I'm looking forward to talking about the work that Multnomah County is doing, including here in East County, where our strong partnerships have led to new investments and collaborations. Gresham Mayor Shane Bemis, Fairview Mayor Ted Tosserud, Troutdale Mayor Casey Ryan, and Wood Village Mayor Timothy Clark, thank you all for your partnership. Thank you to all my friends who are here in the state legislature. And I want to thank Reynolds School Superintendent Linda Florence and Principal Wade Blakely for this beautiful space. Will all the elected officials in the room please stand up? Let's thank them. It's not an easy time to be a public servant, and you all deserve our thanks and gratitude. 6 months ago, we faced a challenge that we'd never seen before. In the middle of Labor Day weekend, in the middle of the night, the sheriff called to say that a wildfire was roaring through the Columbia Gorge. A teenager playing with fireworks had started a fire that's closed Interstate 84, jumped the Columbia River, and forced families in Dodson, Warrendale, Larch Mountain, East Corbett, La Tourelle, and Bridal Veil to run for their lives. Smoke and ash settled over our entire community. The emergency response was swift, and I could not be more proud because from that first 911 call, Multnomah County pulled our community together like the safety net we are. Sheriff Mike Reese's deputies and young volunteers went door to door to safely evacuate every single household. We set up an emergency operations center in Troutdale. Animal Services worked with sound equine options to load up hundreds of horses, llamas, and goats. County Human Services and the Red Cross opened shelters. Our health department advised us on air quality and managing our stress. We informed the press, hosted members of Congress, and held community meetings. And we somehow managed the flood of support that poured in from people who love, love, love the Columbia Gorge. After the fire spread 12 miles overnight, I drove with Governor Brown to Multnomah Falls. I still get a lump in my throat remembering how relieved I was to see the Gresham and Portland firefighters who had worked through the night to save our historic, beloved lodge. Of course, there was one person who pulled in just in front of me, Commissioner Laurie Stegman. For those of you who know Laurie, this will come as no surprise, for her passion for East County has driven policy, debate, and dollars to this district. Thank you, Laurie. The Eagle Creek fire has left scars. We remain on high alert for landslides in burned areas. The tourism season was cut short, and Gorge residents are worried sick about the impacts of crowds coming back into this now fragile environment. But through strong partnerships and smart investments, we will recover. And Multnomah County will be there. Showing up on the toughest days is what this job is all about. And the county stays, from crisis through recovery to stability. Driving to work, I'm always struck by the construction cranes dotting the skyline. You can literally feel Portland booming. And yet thousands of people are being left behind. 1/3 of households in Multnomah County struggle to meet their basic needs. Families living on the edge never know if a sudden rent increase or illness or car accident will cost them their job or be that last domino that will actually push them from their home into the street. Last year, 30,000 people stood on that edge. 30,000. That's a city the size of Redmond. But through the Joint Office of Homeless Services, they got the help they needed to stay in their housing, get back into housing from homelessness, or to access basic shelter. Unfortunately, decades of federal disinvestment in affordable housing have left local governments feeling like we are in this alone. But by working together, the City of Portland and Multnomah County have invested $100 million over the last 2 years to respond to this housing crisis. And I want to thank Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler for standing so solidly with me on this. And just last month, we asked our state leaders to earmark $5 million in emergency support to provide basic shelter for families all across Oregon. And the legislature came through. Thank you. But ending this housing crisis requires more than just emergency shelter. We need to find new money to invest in supportive housing. We have learned that supportive housing is the handhold that can help someone stabilize. Sometimes that means housing with addiction treatment. Sometimes it means housing with counseling support for people with persistent mental illness. We know this strategy works. So in October, Portland Commissioner Nick Fish, Mayor Wheeler, and I led a broad coalition of partners in charting the course that will get us there. We committed to creating 2,000 supportive housing units over the next 10 years. This year, we will also establish a dedicated supportive housing investment fund for people in our streets who need more than just keys to an apartment. They need housing that is connected to the services that will save their lives. I'm also working with Mayor Wheeler and Metro President Tom Hughes to identify unallocated resources flowing in from our local tourism taxes to invest not just in key infrastructure and tourism, but in getting people off the streets. We're always working with our partners to find new creative solutions, which brings me to Bobbie Weinstock. For more than 28 years, and as long as I've known him, Bobbie's been helping seniors stay in their homes through his job with Northwest Pilot Project. But over the past few years, Bobbie's seen more and more seniors standing on the edge. Their monthly Social Security checks used to cover the rent when rent was $350. Now, the cheapest place they can find is $700. In the past, we would expect the federal government to step up. Instead, Congress has cut budgets, making the waiting list for help even longer. Bobbie believed that a local voucher program could help cover the gap, and Bobbie was right. Last month, Sharon Newell became one of the first seniors to receive one of our long-term rent vouchers. Sharon has MS, chemical sensitivities, and autoimmune issues that can give her seizures. She could never find housing that didn't make her sick. And yet her Social Security check was never going to stretch far enough to pay rent on a healthy apartment she needed for herself and her beloved therapy dog, Gracie. Sharon was ready to give up. Then, thanks to Bobbie and the voucher, today she has an apartment all to herself, and she's getting her health back, free from the stress of having to choose between rent or pet food or medicine. This, Sharon says, was a lifesaver. And thanks to fresh funding, this voucher program may one day save hundreds more lives. I am pleased to announce that Meyer Memorial Trust has matched the county's $350,000 investment with $150,000 of its own to improve and grow this program. After the shooting at this school, we sent more mental health professionals into the field, and today we're serving 1,600 kids in 6 school districts. We just began providing support for teachers and case management to kids in kindergarten through 3rd grade. We'll spend $1.3 million for mental health in schools this year. Few problems are tougher for individuals and families than a mental health crisis. Last year, Multnomah County's 24-hour crisis services reached more than 80,000 contacts through our call center, our mobile outreach team, and our urgent walk-in clinic. 80,000. With all that we're doing, it's important that we know what's working, to learn what we're doing right, find the gaps, and close them. And I want to thank Commissioner Sharon Myron for spearheading an analysis of our mental health system, and I'm looking forward to the recommendations from our nationally recognized contractor. As an emergency room doctor, Sharon brings a passion for quality improvement and practical solutions. Thank you, Sharon. The more we understand what people need, the faster they can stabilize and get their lives back on track. Take the LEAD program, or Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. Instead of sending someone with a low-level drug offense straight to jail, the most expensive options, police can redirect that person to a case manager to provide the treatment and mental health care they need. The results are promising. 70% of the 77 people enrolled are active in the program. Many have resolved outstanding warrants and citations, and more than half have not been rearrested. Changing how we think and use jails can change lives. In October, we were named one of 8 counties nationally to receive a $2 million Macarthur Safety and Justice Challenge grant. With our partners, we are working to develop transitional housing for African American justice-involved women to get the connection and stability they need. And this program will reduce over-incarceration and racial disparities that we know exist in our system. We could never do this kind of work alone. Multnomah County relies on this community. We partner formally with more than 650 nonprofit agencies, and to all I say thank you, thank you, thank you. Without your passion, compassion, and expertise, we could not do our jobs. Another lesson for me has been how important peer support can be. When Brittany Picardo was 14, she sprained her back and was prescribed opioids. Was treating a young, healthy person with such powerful drugs ever a good idea? I don't think so. We know now that like the millions of others who were sold a bottle of opioids, Brittany's life spiraled from the experience. She became addicted, dropped out of school, and grew estranged from her family. But then she connected to the sponsor she could call at 3 a.m. just to talk, to a community of people in recovery, and to her mom. Today at 21, Brittany is 4 years clean, working full-time, and planning on returning to school. Congratulations to Brittany. When corporations recklessly promote a highly addictive product that destroys lives, we need to hold them accountable. Last year, Multnomah County filed a lawsuit against the manufacturers of the prescription drugs that have fueled this crisis. And we've been trying aggressively to limit the damage. We changed how we prescribed opioids in our own clinics, and in the last 2 years, our dental clinics have cut the number of opioids by 50% just by working with their patients. We changed how our partners prescribe. Dr. Paul Lewis, our Tri-County Health Officer, worked with Kaiser, OHSU, Providence, Legacy, Tuality, Adventist, and insurance companies to sign onto new prescribing guidelines. And we changed what the community can do. Multnomah County led the legislative effort to make the life-saving drug naloxone available to the general public. To date, 2,536 people have been rescued by naloxone in Multnomah County, many of them literally brought back to life. That moment between life and death changes everything. It opens a door to help. People are often ready to enter treatment, to talk to a peer in recovery, to believe that their life is worth fighting for. We need to make sure that that door is open. So mark your calendars for April 13th, because we're going to be developing more local solutions. We're partnering with Lines for Life in the first of its kind Opioids and Addiction Summit, which will bring together the 3 sheriffs, 3 DAs, and 3 boards of Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington counties to hammer out solutions that we can adopt now. Multnomah County's first job is to be there in a crisis, but the county also provides essential infrastructure to ensure that those services are available. Since I've taken office, we've led a surge in infrastructure investment. We built a brand new East County courthouse in Rockwood, we built a new Selwood Bridge, and we are now building a new central courthouse and a health department headquarters. We're making unprecedented investments in East County roads to make neighborhoods safer, more livable, and to support Fairview, Troutdale, and Wood Village businesses. And just last month, Commissioner Jessica Vega-Peterson led a push in Salem to secure funding to begin the early stages of retrofitting the Burnside Bridge. Commissioner Vega-Peterson is leading our efforts to ensure the Burnside survives a major earthquake and provides a lifeline between the east and west sides of Multnomah County. Together, all these capital projects represent more than $750 million in new infrastructure. And along the way, we put workers at the center of our efforts, because these projects are also a pathway to a long-lasting career in the building trades. In other words, a pathway to a sustainable life. In all of our major construction projects, we set goals to ensure that we have a strong workforce and that the small businesses hired reflect our diverse community. But the industry has not always welcomed women and people of color. So to help bridge these communities to family wage jobs, our first step was a partnership with Construction Apprenticeship and Workforce Solutions, or CAWS, to grow pre-apprenticeship training programs. These programs give entry-level workers the skills and equipment needed to be an apprentice. They also connect them directly with contractors. Echo Dahl, a single mother, found the pre-apprenticeship program at Oregon Tradeswoman and started work. But she wanted more for her family. And through the CAWS program, she met Gordon from General Sheet Metal at a county hiring event. Gordon hired Echo. Since then, she has nearly doubled her salary and was able to buy a house and stabilize her family. I'm very pleased to announce that yesterday, the Board of County Commissioners took a second important step. We voted to set aside 1% of county construction funding to a new Construction, Diversity, and Equity Fund. This fund will support the development of pre-apprenticeship and workforce retention programs for low-income community members, women, and people of color. Commissioner Loretta Smith knows something about this. She has long championed for youth through Summer Works, a program that gives young people their first paycheck and the work skills and connections that lead to internships and college. Thank you, Commissioner Smith. I have loved almost everything about this job. Even on the toughest days, I get to work with the best people. Multnomah County employees who every day do quietly amazing things. Daniela Schlechter-Keenan is one of them. Most of her patients at Multnomah County's North Portland Health Clinic don't know this physician assistant's amazing life story. All her patients know is that Daniela takes remarkable care of them. She sees entire families to make the most of appointments. She delivers groceries. She advocates tirelessly for them. In January, Daniela was named one of Portland's best healthcare providers in a survey of her peers by Portland Monthly magazine. And more importantly, in part because of her advocacy, OHSU reversed its 30-year policy and will no longer consider immigration status for transplant lists. Today, a young mother of 4 is on a liver transplant list because of Daniela and her Multnomah County team. Thank you, Daniela, for your service. Having a workforce with diverse voices and experiences makes it possible for Multnomah County to truly reach and represent our community. It's just as important that our employees feel that they're supportive and in a place where they are safe and can thrive. We know we have a lot of work to do, and I want to thank the employees who've shared their stories and are working alongside us to build a workforce equity strategy that can make Multnomah County better, rooting out racism and making us the fair and just place that we want to be. I know that nationally, things feel troubling, like we're falling apart. But in Multnomah County, we're better than that. We value each other's perspectives, we listen to different points of view, and we find solutions. I'm excited for this next year, and I'm thankful that we're in it together. Thank you for allowing me to join you on this amazing journey. Thank you.